Welcome back, everyone, to our QuaranSTREAMs, Answers for COVID-19. As always, I'm one of your members at large on the Fairfax County School Board, Abrar Omeish, and I'm joined with...
Hi, I'm Kimberly Boateng, and I am the student rep to the school board.
We'll always be here 7 p.m. Thursdays and Sundays. As last time, we discussed special education resources for you and your family. If that is beneficial, feel free to check that out. Today, I'm very excited to have a number of guests representing organizations that provide resources and supports to our families across the county. We will be introducing them one by one later on for our discussion. As always, we'll start with our updates on Fairfax County Public Schools and then welcome our guests. If you'd like to receive updates about our QuaranSTREAMs and reminders, you're welcome to text to the number 81010 to receive those reminders every Thursday and Sunday. An additional reminder for the community, we mentioned to you before to request your ballots. June 23rd is the date of our primaries for Congress and Senate, so be sure to cast your ballot and have your voice be heard. I will be voting and I encourage you to as well. You may also be aware that Fairfax County has approved the use of outdoor space because we are moving into phase one. We are currently in phase one. Other localities across the state are planning to move towards phase two or may have already. We are not there yet. So be sure to take precautions. We still do have over 12,500 cases in our county with 1,441 of those hospitalized, 400 new cases just today with 427 DCs. So we still are certainly in a place where we need to make sure we continue to take precautions and stay at home as much as possible. I want to highlight the Coordinated Services Planning number, which I'm excited actually because today we have a number of partners who will be talking about this soon. But for those of you who need help with housing, food, other services, and don't really know where to go, you can contact any of these folks who will be introducing themselves soon. And you can also call the Coordinated Services Planning number, which is 703-222-0880. And feel free to share that with friends and family as well. There are some upcoming events. If you are in Drainsville or Hunter Mill districts, that's largely if you're in the McLean, Great Falls, Herndon areas, Vienna, there will be a town hall with your supervisors and school board members on June 8th. So be sure to look at the social media or newsletters of Walter Alcorn, John Faust, the two supervisors from those areas, or Melanie Marin and Elaine Tolan, the school board members, who will be available to talk about all things Fairfax County services and education for that region. As we know, the stream before last, we talked about race and the importance of reflection during a difficult time for our country. We wanted to just highlight that there are many protests happening organized by students of FCPS, and I encourage participation. I participated in some myself. And want to just highlight that those are listed on social media, and there are some resources that have been posted on our FCPS website about stigma and racism, in addition to a letter that came out from myself and my colleagues as a school board to again to commit to the cause of equity and where we stand on all of this. So be sure to check that out. As of right now, with technology, FCPS has distributed over 22,000 laptops and over 2,000 MiFi devices. A reminder that as we transition into a summer and move into potentially a fall semester with distance learning, we have to make sure that all our families have technology access. If that is a struggle for you or any of your neighbors that you know of, please be sure to contact your principal, because you do have the right to access a laptop and internet if you're home, if you don't have that at home. And that is a resource that the school system provides to students of FCPS. With that, I'm gonna go to Kimberly with some updates on food and academics, and we will transition into our dialogue.
So in terms of technology, as of the 3rd, there has been 22,190 laptops distributed and 2,023 MiFi devices. And as of Friday, June 5th, in terms of food, FCPS has distributed a total of 1,290,078 meals. And this is just a reminder, as of last Monday, June 1st, there's a new pop-up grab-and-go food site located at the Chelsea Square Apartments by the parking lot next to the pool from 10 to 10:15 a.m. And in terms of academics, this is the last week of class. The SPS online campus and the only summer learning option for SPS middle school and high school students will be offering credit recovery and acceleration for eligible students. Registration ends June 12th, which is this upcoming Friday. So please visit fcps.edu/academic/summer-learning for more information. And this year, TJ School of Technology, Science and Technology has offered admission to a total of 486 students of the 2,539 students who applied for the upcoming class. And this year, with the acceptance rate being 19.
Thank you, Kimberly. We did keep our updates a little bit short today to make sure we left some time for a great and useful conversation. As always, we do have school board meetings happening regularly. Our next public meeting will be on the 18th. I encourage you to take a look at our calendar and check board docs on our website where all the agendas are posted and all the attachments for them are there. As of right now, just to flag a couple things for you to look forward to, in the month ahead, the budget will be, the board will be looking at the distance learning plan, as well as in the month following that, the year-end budget. So we look at whatever money was saved and not spent in the previous year and make decisions about how to allocate that for the following year. In addition, there will be a conversation about the CARES package money, which the federal government had, you guys may have heard in Congress, there were conversations about stimulus and all of that. Some of that money came to Virginia and the governor decided how to allocate it. About $22 million of that is coming to us in Fairfax County. So that money will be decided on in the months ahead as well. So those are two things to pay attention to since the board had just approved our fiscal year budget for the coming year. With that, I congratulate all of our students for finishing up classes this year. It was not it was not an easy semester and quarter for all of you trying to figure things out in distance learning. I have no doubt that you all have become more resilient for it. And I look forward to seeing how we can further support you moving ahead. And for those of us seniors who picked up, your gowns and caps and took pictures over the past week or so and will continue to, we're very proud of you and certainly sent out our messages that you'll be receiving soon. So without further ado, welcome to all of our guests here. We have a number of representatives from different organizations. We mentioned earlier on to folks that Volunteer Fairfax has served as that official liaison to connect people to service organizations during a tough time and with social distancing. And so these are many of our organizations who partner with them. So we will, I want to make sure I introduce first Mary Lee DeSpirito, who is representing ACA, and we'll speak a little bit more about that. She's a volunteer with them, a longtime volunteer who's very familiar with the history and the development of some of these organizations in our county. We also have Tamishia Beeks, who is new executive director of the Falls Church McLean Children's Center. Very excited to have you with us as well. Michelle Cole, who's the director of operations for MK9 Service Dogs. And Candace Bennett, who is here as the Director of Development for Good Shepherd Housing. And finally, we also have been joined by Lauren Witherspoon, who is on the development team for Second Story. So thank you all so much for joining us. Let's get started by hearing from each of you in that order. I'll remind, I'll remind you guys if anyone pauses, but tell us a little bit more about what you guys do. What are the services you offer on a daily basis to the community? And how have some of those things changed or increased during our social distancing period? So Mary Lee, take it away.
Thanks for inviting ACA to be part of your presentation tonight. ACA is the Annandale Christian Community for Action. Basic needs, emergency response, and it's a faith-based organization. We have two sides. We have a child development center where we have a paid, very professional staff. The center is nationally accredited, serving children 3 months of age until they, quote, graduate into kindergarten. The other side of ACA, we call it the human service side. We respond to our neighbors seeking assistance with financial issues, rent, utilities, maybe prescription for a member of the household that is not insured, furniture, several other non-core programs, such as Meals on Wheels, which is a county program, but we out here in the trenches we administer the program. Transportation to medical appointments, Rebuilding Together. It's a national program each year, usually in April. ACA will rehab using volunteers a couple of pieces of property. It might be a group home, it might be an elderly couple that can't build that ramp down to the driveway or something like that. We have student scholarships, and these are connected with Fairfax County Schools. A graduating senior who has some sort of disability seeking higher education. From time to time, ACA takes on some special programs. For instance, a tutoring program after school or on Saturday. You've heard about Fairfax Coordinated Service Planning, and that plays a very critical role in how ACA is able to address needs of our neighbors in the community. You heard the phone number. Please put this in a very important place because it's the door opener to all human services in Fairfax County. That's 703-256, 703-222-0880. The workers there are located in our 4 regional human services offices. They're presently answering approximately 800 calls a day. That was 800 calls a day. They will listen to your story, and then they will connect you or even send a direct request to one of the community-based organizations closest to where you live. This could be for food, rental assistance, utility, things like that. As the requests come to ACA, we have a money captain or a food captain on duty each week, and you can guess what each one deals with. They will then check with their landlord. If it's a rental assistance, make sure the landlord is going to receive our money. In the last 2 months, we've spent about $400,000 on rental and utility assistance, which is more than we had, so we had to dip into some reserve money. Our food pantry will hear the story of the family needing assistance. One of our volunteers, by the way, the human service side is all volunteer-led and driven. The food pantry captain of the week then dispatches one of the volunteers to shop for your family, and then they will deliver it to your home. Because of the social distancing and the virus, the food is left right outside your door, and the driver notifies you that the food is there. ACA was established in 1967, and we're going into our 54th year. Over that time, we have served thousands of people. On the child development side of our organization, we have about 225 children a day and are providing affordable, quality child development. Parents pay on a sliding fee scale, and most of the children in our center receive subsidy either from the state or from the county. We are neighbors helping neighbors. You heard the word CARES funding. In the last 10 days, the County Board of Supervisors has allotted $20 million of CARES money to a number of different community-based organizations around the county. You call the 222 number. They will then connect you with one of the organizations that is holding that money and can help you. You can actually receive up to 4 months of rent, and all of these requests must be connected with the COVID-19 virus in some way. Perhaps you've lost your job. Maybe you have had your hours reduced and you need a helping hand. We do not want to have this virus creating homelessness. So call Coordinated Service Planning, 703-222-0880. Speak to one of our staff answering the phone. And by the way, they're not in their offices because county offices are closed to the public. They're working from home. The phone system is such that if the line is busy in one region, it will transfer to another. You'll still get the same service, even though it may not be in your particular area, but the follow through of sending that request for the CARES money will be right there. They establish your eligibility, and then they make the connection for you. I'll be glad to take any questions at the appropriate time. ACA uses volunteers in our food program, in our furniture program, which is presently suspended because you can't social distance when you have a truck and you have to put 2 people in the truck. We're hoping when we enter phase 2 of our recovery that our furniture volunteers will be able to work again. They are picking up furniture from generous donors within our community, and then they will deliver to households, families, individuals who are needing a bed, a chest of drawers, maybe a sofa, dining table, chairs. That's just basic items. And this happens on a Saturday a couple of times a month when we get it back up and running. So Coordinated Service Planning is our partner, and we could not do our job without their support and help almost on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mary Lee. And I did want to just make sure I put up real quick here this map because you mentioned how there are different partner organizations providing similar, if not the same services, ACA being one of them, but in partnership with ECHO, Fairfax Fish, WFCM, all these other groups, right? So depending on where somebody lives, there may be a more direct number for them to contact, right? But regardless,
the first thing to do is call Coordinated Service Planning, and then they will also be able to pinpoint the organization that you called. You don't have to just keep calling around different places because their software is so sophisticated they can spot which side of the street you live on if the line goes down the middle.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mary Lee. Great. So with that, let's hear from Tamisha.
Hi, my name is Tymisha, and I'm the Executive Director at Falls Church McLean's Children's Center, where we service children from 2 to 5. We have a high-quality program. Since the beginning of our program, our focus has been giving all children a high-quality program, no matter what their income base is. And so with that being said, we offer a scholarship. We also work with parents to ensure that they're able to get subsidized childcare. We have a large amount of our students that are first generational students from different countries. So in each one of our classrooms, we have a bilingual teacher so that we can not only support the child, but also the family. What we've been doing since we've been closed is that one of the things we've been doing is reaching all of our families through Zoom. If they're not able to reach through a Zoom, we've been doing other apps like WhatsApp, which has been working for our families. We reach out to them weekly and have sessions individually with our families, doing activities with the children, but also checking in with our family to see where they're at. We also do it in a group setting, so just so they can be able to see their friends, we give that options. The other thing that we've been doing is that our curriculum is creative curriculum. And so what we do is we send out activities weekly in the different developmental areas that meet each child's individual needs, but we send it out as our family engagement activities, which are activities that focus on things that they can do around the home. We have been working with families, whether it's coming up with a different routine, how to get their child moving, even though they're in the home, different things that they can do. We've also reached out to our much needed families that have needed a little bit more than just the educational support, whether that be rent support or that's helping them to get additional food. We've been making sure that we connect them. As we go into these following weeks and we notice that the needs of our families are changing, even the families that have a higher income, we are now focusing on looking at the bigger picture of extra things that they might be needing, such as mental health support, for whether it's for them or family members, being able to cope with everything that's going on in society. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. We also have a Facebook page where we share resources for our families, and we reach out to them by email, just making sure that we're connecting to them. During our regular years, regular school year, when this is not all going on, we also provide our families with speech services because we are a program that believes in early intervention services. So we make sure that even if a child does not qualify for an IEP or an IFSP, and we see a deficit, that we still give them that support. So those are the things that we are doing in our program. We're looking ahead to do even more as our world is changing. We're looking to offer more mental health, not only to our families, but having it more into our curriculum, because we know that we're now going to be faced with children that are going to be dealing with much more than they've ever dealt with before. And we want to make sure that we continue to support them, as well as to support our families and our actual teachers who will be coming back to a program that's not the same. So those are the things that we have been doing in our program.
Thank you, Tamisha. And if you don't mind, tell us what area you guys are covering. Where are you? Because you're the Falls Church McLean, right? Children's
So we're
Center.
in Falls Church. We're in Falls Church.
Thank you so much. All right, Michelle, please.
Hi, my name is Michelle Cole. I'm the Director of Operations and Canine Programs for MK9 Service Dogs. We're an all-volunteer nonprofit public charity whose mission is to provide highly trained service dogs to veterans with physical and or mental health disabilities at no cost to the deserving veteran. And because we are an all-volunteer organization, our service dogs in training live with our volunteers. And so they are able to continue training with their dogs with virtual support from our trainers. And now that we are in phase 1, we've been able to resume using social distancing, training with our veterans who are going to be getting our service dogs.
Great. So I'm showing the website right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So for folks to learn a little bit more about some of what they're working on. Great. Thank you, Michelle. We will hear from Candace.
Hi, everyone. I'm Candace Bennett. I'm the Director of Development for Good Shepherd Housing and Family Services. We are located in the Richmond Highway area of Fairfax County. We were established in 1974. Our main mission is affordable housing, so we are a landlord. We actually own 76 apartments, and we manage a total of about 106 units of housing that we rent to families who are generally making 30 to 50% of the area median income. And so that's our main program. We also offer an emergency services financial assistance program that allows for financial grants that will help cover for rent to prevent eviction, and also security deposits for families who may be struggling to get into housing. And our other main program that we have is the Children's Resources Program, where we help the children of the families who live in our housing with extracurricular activities during the school year, as well as providing them backpacks with all their school supplies at the start of the year and summer camps. Although maybe this summer, maybe not so much, but we're obviously planning that one by ear. Ways to get involved. We obviously are constantly fundraising. We actually have a virtual bingo event this coming Tuesday on June 9th. You can learn more on our website. And thank you for Abrar for having us on and sharing this. And actually the page that Abrar is showing right now is something that we started right at the beginning of this crisis. And we have a blog post up on our website that compiles any and all job opportunities that we have been able to find in the area. So if you happen to be looking for a job, this is a place to check out. And if you happen to have a business that is hiring, we certainly would welcome your hiring information, and we're happy to add it to our page if that would help you. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And as we certainly talked about earlier, all emergency assistance requests should go through the Fairfax County Coordinated Services Planning line. And again, that number is 703-222-0880.
Thank you so much, Candace. Appreciate that. Lauren, please.
Hi, thank you so much for pulling all this together and having us all on tonight. I've heard of a lot of the nonprofits that shared tonight, so it's good to also be on the same platform as them and be able to hear from them again. So I'm a representative of Second Story, Youth Services and Safe Shelters organization. So we provide long-term and short-term housing options for youth and young families at risk of being homeless or experiencing homelessness. And then we also provide preventative after-school services as well to provide preventative education against gang violence, human trafficking, and things like that. So the program that's probably most relevant to tonight's group is our Second Story for Teens in Crisis program, which is located on Gallows Road near Tyson's Corner Center. If you guys are familiar, you're walking down Gallows Road or driving down, and it's the house with the purple door. And who knew 20 years ago when we painted that door purple that would be our best marketing tool, but it's been great. There's also a colorful sign out by the street, but that is an emergency shelter for teenagers aged 13 to 17 years old. That don't have a parent or legal guardian, or they are finding themselves in an abusive situation, or their parent or legal guardian has kicked them out, wanting to potentially relinquish custody. In less serious situations, it might just be a big blowout fight that happens between mom, dad, and teen decides, you know, I'm out of here, I'm gonna run away. The streets are better than being at you guys' place. But even still, for those young teens, life on the streets is not safe. Your chances of being victimized by an older adult and brought into human trafficking increase significantly every night that a young person is out on the streets. It's very hard to get out of that life. So we do experience quite a few teens that have come into our programs that have experienced some sort of sexual trauma, either by somebody they know or by somebody they met on the streets. So because we're an emergency shelter, you can, if you have run away or if you have been kicked out, you can come to our house, literally knock on our door, and we can start the intake paperwork with you to see if you're appropriate for our program. It's very mental health focused. So it's an intensive program. We do individual counseling every single day with the teens, group counseling every single day on topics like communication, healthy relationships and boundaries, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, you name it, lots of relevant topics. And then they also get met with once a week with a family counselor. Our goal is family reunification in that program since they are still minors, if home is a safe place. Then I'll talk briefly about our other programs. We have longer term programs as well for young mothers who have become homeless. Typically they're fleeing a situation of domestic violence. or if they became pregnant when they were in their parents' household and their parents don't agree with, don't like the boyfriend, upset that they got pregnant, and taking the mom out, and the mom finds herself sleeping out of her car, sleeping in public places. Now during a pandemic, not safe to be out while you're pregnant, while you're trying to mother a young child. So they can stay up in that program for about 18 months, and they receive parenting classes, life skills training. We help them find a job. We help them update their resumes if they need to, with interview training. It's a very well-rounded program. We help them with savings. And then another general program that's also long-term for young adults as well. We have had clients tell us that my mom and dad, the minute I turned 18, kicked me out because they were, sick and tired of dealing with me. They didn't like my lifestyle choices. Sometimes in the LGBTQ community, we find parents wanting to kick out their children once they turn of age. And so we find a safe place for those young people to stay, help them with their rent by paying a portion typically, and also help them with the life skills training and case management as well. And then the after school programs are for 4th graders all the way up through 12th grade. And a lot of people ask us, why do you start in 4th grade? I mean, those kids are so young. And we actually, the average age for gang recruitment in this area, and we have the 2nd largest MS-13 presence in the country, is 8 or 9 years old for a child to be recruited into a gang. In the neighborhoods that we are having our after school program are very strategically thought out so that we are oops, I'm so sorry about that. So the neighborhoods that we are in are very strategically placed where there is a higher rate of gang violence or crime, so that we can try to be a good influence for those kids. Also, human trafficking, like I mentioned before, is a huge issue in this county. I think in Northern Virginia as a whole, not just Fairfax County, has the 5th largest rate of human trafficking in the country. And the average age for a young girl or boy to be trafficked is about age 12 or 13. So we're really trying to provide some educational resources on how to identify if there's gang activity in your area, who it's safe to report to, which is obviously a trusted adult that we have in all of our after school programs. We do offer counseling in those programs as well, and resources for the families of those children as well. A lot of them are coming from food insecure households, so we're providing meals, we're providing tutoring, computer skills classes for their parents, English as second language classes, because we are serving a lot of immigrants in that area. We do have a free walk-in clinic. We partner with students from George Mason University for that. And we do offer some legal assistance as well. We partner with a legal services agency, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but we offer some custody issues advice, not through Second Story, but through a third party that provides those services. So that's just a broad overview. There are lots of ways to get involved because of COVID. We have a lot of needs as an organization. The vast majority of our young mothers and young adults that are in our housing units have lost their jobs, and not all of them are eligible for unemployment. And so we are having to bump up our rent support to about 100% for some of our clients, which has put Second Story in, a little bit of a tight spot in this situation. So Facebook fundraisers are always helpful. Not only do they raise funds for our programs, but they also raise awareness, which is crucial during a time like this. And we're also in need of in-kind goods as well, like food. We have tripled our food distribution efforts by converting our vans that we used to go pick up the kids in for our after-school programs. We've converted them to food outreach vans basically, so that we're delivering meals to the families that are in need. So there's that. And I want to say just like the normal things that you need for your household, we need for our shelter too. So toilet paper, laundry detergent, feminine hygiene products, all of that is really helpful to our organization to make sure that we're able to still keep providing service to our people. So thank you guys again.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Really inspiring to hear about the many, many initiatives that you guys have going on for minors, especially interesting to me as a school board member. So looking forward to seeing how we can partner in the future. I did want to pose a question that has come up from a number of constituents about evictions. So as we know, across the country, there were halts on evictions. And now as we roll into phasing out of COVID, a lot of them have started up again. I posed this to, Candace and Mary Lee, feel free to comment, and anyone else is welcome to chime in as well. But what are we seeing here in Fairfax County, and what options do folks have from your understandings to support themselves?
So I'm happy to talk a little bit about it. Actually, if folks may be facing eviction, they should definitely call Coordinated Services Planning at the number that we've posted. And I think I shared it on your watch page as well. But they will help direct you to one of the local agencies that did receive quite a few large grants from the CARES Act that are specifically designed to help stall off both evictions and even foreclosures. So if folks are out of work because of COVID, they should definitely reach out to CSP and get connected with one of these nonprofits who can help basically pay off any back debt that may be owed due to a loss of hours or a lost job, and hopefully stave off the eviction. I don't know that evictions have started back up yet in the county. I think what they're looking at is processing evictions that may have started prior to them halting the courts. So folks that may have been in the eviction process prior to the national emergency for previous debt may still be, in that process, and there will be a different system, but they should still call CSP if they need to get help. But evictions, I believe, may still be slower for folks who are seeing a loss of work related to COVID.
I echo what you have just provided for our neighbors. Don't be bashful about calling. We're here to help you. The Coordinated Service Planning workers are extremely skilled, and your name is not going to appear on any list publicly. That is the most important thing you should know. It is a very confidential process. It's a very safe process. I don't think they're even asking if you have papers anymore. They want to keep people in their present housing. We want to prevent evictions and prevent homelessness. So remember the number, 222-0880.
Thank you, Marilee and Candace. And certainly we'll edit the description with this number for folks to access easily on the Facebook page. If anyone else wants to chime in at any time, feel free to jump in. I wanted to pose a question about children. So children in this time are, when we think of the school system and the many services we offer, it's not just education and academics, right? There's social work, there's psychology services, there are all sorts of wraparound supports that are offered on a normal basis, even identifying potential areas for child abuse, right? So Lauren, you touched on this a little bit. But in thinking of, the mandatory reporters in schools who are generally the primary person who would know if children are facing difficult situations and making those calls. So I wanted to pose, Tamisha, Lauren, and anyone else who wants to jump in here to tell us a little bit about how things have changed since COVID and what we're seeing with kids, and what some of the steps that have been, what some of the supports that are out there and how they've changed to further provide supports and some of those wraparound services that otherwise are not being provided through schools or are being provided virtually. I know the other piece, you talked about domestic violence, because that's also, we've seen a spike in that, right? Because people have had to stay at home. So I'd love to hear from you guys some of the work you've been doing to support students. I know some of you touched on a little bit, and just provide some perspective for our public to realize really some of the changes that have been happening right here in our neighborhoods.
So one of the things that we've been doing is just checking in with our families and seeing how it's actually going in the home, whether it's them saying that, you know, right now I feel like we don't have a consistent schedule. A lot of times the abuse happens because you don't know what to do. As we look at, most of our children spend most of their days in childcare, and families only have them in the morning just before they go for a short period of time, and in the afternoon for a short period of time, and then they're asleep. And so just letting our families know exactly what are extra activities you can be doing to help, you know, smooth it. Whether it's having them on a consistent schedule to go outside and just taking them for a walk, and then having a set time to go down to nap so that you have those break times. So it's important for us to let our families know, how do you get a break in this pandemic? Because as we're all going through this, there's more people in the house, and we don't all know how to do the different things that would support them. So what we've been doing is giving them more activities, talking about the different kind of activities they can do as a families, as well as how do they get their own time. Another thing that they're doing in Fairfax County is that they have the Parent Cafe, which is a good it's a good resource, whether you're using Parent Cafe during the regular school year as well as during the pandemic. It looks at supporting families, not just from a clinical state, but also getting support from other members of the community, other parents, because we might think of it as, oh, this is a great way how to do it. But if you're not in that situation, it might not be the best way. So that's one of the things that I think is a positive thing that Fairfax County is offering, is virtual Parent Cafe. So that's something that we're also, you know, broadcasting to our families, that's being offered.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that real quick. Absolutely, that, you know, success strategies, different tips as to how to parent children, especially during this tough time. A lot of those numbers are posted. We had a stream with the Department of Family Services where they talked in more depth as to what they offer as well, where the numbers were posted as well, if folks want to look at that. So thank you so much, Tamisha, for mentioning it. Lauren, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Sure, yeah. For second story, a lot of it, as far as this topic is concerned, is similar to what it was. Now, you did mention a good point. A lot of basically the number one referral source in my experience as a former counselor at Conserve Teens in Crisis, our number one referral source was school counselors or school psychologists or school social workers. And now that the kids are not in school, it is on the youth to report, and a lot of kids don't know that they can. So that makes word of mouth and really organically spreading the word about Second Story even more important, that there is a resources out there for young people who are experiencing abuse. But I think it has been working. I think people have been spreading the word because our numbers have remained pretty constant through this. So kids are finding out about us. And I think we're pretty easy to find on Google, so that's good. So if you look up like runaway homeless youth, like don't have a place to stay tonight, like will come up on your Google search. So that's a good thing, because if a youth is running away from home, they're typically gonna, like, if hopefully they have their phones, we'll look up something like that and they'll be able to find us pretty easily. But yeah, we have not experienced any drops in numbers. We're our shelter now at full capacity the last time I checked, which was later this past week. And we are obviously having the residents wear masks and practicing social distancing to keep them and staff safe while they're in the shelter. But we're also doing preventative services as well over the phone. So let's say, for example, a teenager calls us that just got into an explosive fight with their parents and they're in need of some coping skills. We can provide that over the phone, talk them through, you know, what can you do if you're grounded in your room, maybe your parents won't let you go out for a walk to cool down. Can you draw? Can you listen to your iPod? Can you try to take a nap? Can you count to a certain number? So just walking them through some of that on the phone. We have a 24-hour nationwide hotline actually that we run out of that facility, and it's 1-800-SAY-TEEN. So 1-800-SAYTEEN. And you can speak to a counselor live over the phone 24 hours a day. And it's confidential. If you do not want to share information, you don't have to. And if you're finding yourself in a situation of abuse from anybody in your household, you can call us and we can speak to CPS on your behalf, or we can also coach you through what a CPS call will look like if you decide to call yourself. So that's a valuable resource for kids to use. Even if you aren't in an abusive situation yourself, in struggling with a mental health crisis, like severe depression can happen absolutely during these times. Anxiety can definitely happen during these times, with schoolwork, with family, with finances, if your family is struggling financially, or all of the above. And you can also call that number if you just want some crisis counseling over the phone as well.
The ACA
Go ahead, Marley.
Yeah, the ACA Child Development Center never shut down. We were asked by the governor to make space and to care for children of our first responders. So many of our regular children are at home because the parent is not working. They can do their child care, but we have a staff that works with them virtually. The rules to keep us running was that we could have no more than 10 to a classroom. So you have a teacher and you have an aide. You would have a maximum of 8 students, and this was through the entire center from 3 months until they're going to kindergarten. The classrooms then were not to go to the playground at the same time. They've had all kinds of cleaning, and you can't even walk in the door without going through a disinfectant on your shoes. And by the way, only the children come into the building. Parents do not come into the building. So they have weathered this thing with no virus, no health issues with staff or with the children. And presently we have about 50 children of our capacity for 225. So we're hoping each week when we have a lifting of this and that restriction, we can up that number, because we have a corps of teachers and we're using part to work from home and work with the students that are not in the center. We do have psychologists, we have occupational therapists, physical therapists. As it was mentioned, you catch all these problems early before they become real issues in a child's life.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marley. It's important for us to try to be proactive as much as possible in this time. You're absolutely right. And are you saying these are classroom setups that are available now?
They are available and been, we work year round. The first time the governor said, no child development centers, we were actually contacted and said, we need you to stay open to care for the children, because first responders have got to have care for their children. So we've just continued to operate, but on a still slower scale. Altered our hours, so instead of taking children from 7 in the morning till 6 at night, we work from about 8 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon now.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's truly, I mean, the incredible efforts of everyone, who's been either a volunteer like you, Mary Lee, or everyone else on this call as well, who's devoted themselves far more than any of us have ever expected to, really, during this time. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I wanted to, during this time, a number of the questions that we receive generally are about vulnerable populations. So, when we think of who's going to be most impacted, certainly lower income families, different English language learners in the school system specifically, but people with language barriers, folks who don't know that these resources are out there, which is part of why we wanted to do this. I am curious, Michelle, you work with veterans. You mentioned that service dogs are some of the resources you guys offer. If there have been any changes that you've noticed or things that folks should pay attention to as to how service dogs may actually be used even for mental health support or different kinds of needs. Maybe if you could help outline what some of those needs are and why people can, or how a service dog can help folks during that time.
So basically with our organization, because the majority of our veterans have some type of mental health disability, so we are teaching our dogs to alert to if the veteran starts to become anxious, to if the veteran feels like he just has to, get out of a situation. We teach our dogs how to exit out of a location, how to actually do deep pressure therapy to kind of ground the veteran, to help calm them down. We work very closely with the veterans that we have, and so all of our veterans are continuing with their mental health providers during this time. So that's very helpful for them. But yes, service dogs are very important in a veteran's journey to recovery. And a lot of our veterans are trying to get off all the medications that they've been prescribed, and the dogs seem to help stop that escalation of behaviors. We also teach our dogs how to interrupt a nightmare that the veteran might be having. So if somebody can get a good night's sleep, that is a huge benefit just overall. And because the dogs are in the home with the veterans, then the entire family is just in a calmer state. If the veteran is in a calmer state, now that everybody is home, like the other callers were saying, our veterans aren't used to their spouses and children and everybody else being there, 24 hours a day. So we've also been helping them with different coping strategies and you can always take a dog on a walk. So get out, get fresh air. So those are just some of the things that we do with our dogs that we're training.
Thank you so much for shedding light on that. Certainly things that are not always intuitive to folks who may not be in that circumstance, which really does bring me to wanting to bring the mental health conversation even more broadly for anyone to chime in. We'd seen some of the studies and reports from experts that during this time, even when we may not realize, just the shift and the adjustment in lifestyle can be a somewhat, traumatic experience for children, but so even for adults is something that, that adjustment has even led the federal government to put out a national distress hotline for folks who may be going through that tough time and realizing the impacts of what's happening around us on our well-being, and really kind of reaching out and being there for folks. So I'd love for anyone on this call to comment. I know some of you guys have already shared some of the resources that are offered. You're welcome to reiterate, but even some of the reflections from what you've seen in your work and the importance of paying attention to this, and for our audience's sake as well, that this is something impacting all of us really, not in the narrow sense, of course, of challenges of veterans. That's unique, no doubt. But with this changing time, that it is something to pay attention to all of our children and ourselves and our family members and neighbors. So anyone's welcome to jump into this one.
One of the things that I've noticed that as we look to supporting our families as well as our children, it's very important that you support your staff. Because if you don't have the people who are on the front line actually supporting the families and children, and you don't check in with them, then they're not capable of actually giving that support. And so one of the things I've been doing is definitely having our Zoom sessions with our staff and having that check-in. Because if you don't have that check-in, there are things that they need to tell you that they're personally going through. Or sometimes when you're getting so much information from families, it's overwhelming. And so you need to be able to reflect on that with another person. And so we've been having that time where my staff is allowed to email me. There's times on our Zoom, we just had a check-in Zoom this Friday. How are you? So every Friday we're having something so we can actually have that time where we're checking in so that we are not missing signs that we see with our families, our children, because we're so overwhelmed ourselves. So I think that's important for organizations to look at, making sure that they check in on their staff as they're trying to also check in on the community.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that's just, I'm sorry. I think that's so important, what you just said. And just letting our staff know, but letting our clients know, letting our family know, it's okay to not be okay for a little while. It's okay to feel sad about your situation. And I think what a lot of people, they have this guilty feeling of like, well, you know, I should be thankful I'm not currently homeless, or at least, you know, my parents don't abuse me, or at least this doesn't happen. And so I really don't have anything to be sad or worried or feel fearful or depressed or anxious about. But the thing is that we're all experiencing this a little bit differently, and we all have our own unique circumstances. And it's okay to feel frustrated or anxious or fearful. The important thing is, who can you reach out to? Who can you talk to? And sounds really cliche, but we're really going to get through this by reaching out to each other, being a support for one another, and for organizations like ours to partner together. And so it's good that we're hearing about each other if we haven't already. So I know, like, if a veteran calls our hotline, that maybe we're not the best organization to serve, but now I know an organization that can. So I think the real important thing is just being okay with your feelings and how things are happening in your life. And that's okay that they're different from other people's experiences, but finding the tools to move forward and knowing who to reach out to is really important during this time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I want to be respectful and mindful of everyone's time that we did commit for today. So, you know, 2 quick round robin questions. We'll start with the first, which is your final plug, you know, whether it's how folks can help the organization or what specifically is out there that may be time sensitive or that you want to make sure the word is out for. So we'll just go ahead and do a quick round of each person. Mary Lee, you can start us off again, and then we can go in the same order. You're muted though, Mary Lee.
There we are. I probably speak for everyone. Money is of essence right now. And for us, just we buy a lot of things for our food pantry, and money can buy oranges, apples, and fresh food, milk, eggs, things like that. Any check would be sent to ACA Inc., 7200 Columbia Pike, Annandale, Virginia. The zip code is 22003. Presently, we're pretty well set with volunteers. We had a real rush, and people have been extremely generous with their time.
Hi, again, I'm from Falls Church McLean's Children's Center. Again, we could use donations. We do have families that still need to pay rent. I know that we've heard some resources, and some of our families are afraid to go and get resources, but we can also use any programs that are donating additional food or services that have to do with mental health, we welcome those. And so if it's donating of clothes, whatever those things may be, we definitely take those things. And like, there are many of our families that can use it, even their extended families that can use it. And again, you can donate those things at Falls Church McLean's Children's Center. We're on online, so if you look up Falls Church McLean Children's Center.org, you can see where you can donate. We welcome you to donate any kind of services. We are really looking for anyone that wants to do additional mental health services. So if there's anyone that wants to donate virtual mental health, we welcome those services. Thank you.
So I'm Michelle Cole from MK9 Service Dogs. 3 things that we're looking for, and this is now and in the future. Veterans who have honorably served in the U.S. military of any generation may apply for one of our service dogs. We're always looking for volunteers to help raise our service dogs, and we do have some social media and fundraising needs as well. And contributions to help us continue our mission. So you can find us on mk9servicedogs.org.
Thanks, Michelle. Candace, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Candace from Good Shepherd Housing and Family Services. Obviously, like everyone else, we are certainly looking for donations, and we do have several virtual events coming up. But one thing I do want to make sure I highlight is if someone is looking for housing, we do have a rental application online. If you go to our website, goodhousing.org, click on services, apartments, budgeting, counseling, you can find our application and you can apply for housing. So if you're looking for a new apartment, we do have several 2-bedrooms available that I'm aware of.
All right, my name is Lauren again with Second Story. We are in need of all of the things that everybody mentioned as well. We do have a COVID-19 specific task force, and we also have a COVID-19 relief fund. So if you are interested specifically in donating to help us get through this difficult time with COVID, that would be for you. You can find it on our website at second-story.org. And we welcome your ideas too. We love how the community gets creative with fundraisers and ways to raise awareness and spread the word. And I invite you to reach out to me directly if you're interested in that. My email address is development_coordinator@second-story.org, or you can call my desk number. It's forwarded to my cell phone. It's 571-327-2819. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all so much. And I did want to mention, a number of these orgs mentioned fundraising. It is actually a tough time for nonprofit organizations, because when we have a normal, without social distancing, people host different events and house parties and different functions to make sure that these incredible services are regularly offered for the community. So for those of us who do have that extra, or are blessed enough to have a little bit of that additional those additional funds available, it's really important for us to kind of extend a hand during this time, especially for all these organizations that are putting themselves out there and really working hard, longer hours than they normally have to serve those in our community who are most vulnerable. So I thank all of you guys for everything you're doing. As always, folks, tune in at 7 p.m. Thursdays and Sundays for our QuaranSTREAMs. Our next session will be with Dr. Brabrand, the superintendent of our school system, and you'll have the chance to ask him questions live as we update you on what we're planning in the weeks ahead for distance learning. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and have a good rest of your evening.